Have you ever noticed how it happens? Do not just wake up one morning and say, I am done with visiting people. It does not happen in one dramatic moment. It happens quietly. It happens slowly, like dust gathering on furniture you swore you would wipe down tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next month, and before you even realize it, months have passed. You used to be the one making the calcio. Used to be the one who showed up with a cake in hand. You used to keep folding chairs in the trunk of your car just in case you were the person who made sure everyone was gathered. And now you hear about a birthday that happened 3 weeks ago, and you realize with a heavy heart that you did not even know it happened. That people will look at that and say you have changed. They will whisper that you have grown stubborn. They will call you grumpy. They will say you have become set in your ways. But here is the truth: those lazy labels miss the heart of the story entirely. Because if you are over 70 and you have started pulling back from the social gatherings, from the visits, from the endless obligations, there is a reason. In fact, there are 6 powerful reasons, and the first one is the most obvious. It is the one no one dares to talk about. Urgent that you lack energy altogether. It is more like you have learned how precious it really is. When you were younger, it felt like you had a reserve tank hidden somewhere. You could push yourself a little farther. You could stay a little longer. You could keep talking, keep laughing, keep showing up. You had a second wind waiting for you, but now that tank has been replaced with a blinking fuel light. You still have good days, of course you do. Now you measure them in spoons. Every single task costs something: taking a shower, driving across town, putting on a smile. Even when you do not feel like I teach thing takes a piece of the limited supply, and when you weigh it all together, sometimes you simply say it to die. And it is not laziness, it is not weakness, it is wisdom, because you have learned that your energy is gold. You have learned that every ounce must be spent with care. When you were younger, you threw energy around like confetti. No, you spend it like diamonds, and there is nothing shameful about that. It is not retreat, that is respect. Respect for your own body, respect for your own limits, respect for the years you have walked through to reach this moment. Think about it. The younger you could spend hours at a gathering and then still come home and bake a pie at midnight. No, you have to make a choice. Say, do I go out today, or do I save my strength for tomorrow? Do I force myself into conversations that drain me, or do I protect my peace and rest my spirit? That is not a sign of fading, that is a sign of clarity. And here is where most people on the outside do not understand. They see you stay home and they think you do not care anymore, but the truth is the opposite. You care so much that you refuse to waste the limited energy you have on things that do not truly matter. You are more selective now. You are more intentional. Knowing that selectiveness is not a flaw, it is a form of wisdom that only years can teach. No, let us pause here for a moment, because I want to speak directly to you. If you are listening to this right now and you are nodding your head because this sounds like your life, I want you to know something important. You are not lazy. You are not distant. You are not fading away. You are simply conserving. You are adapting. You are honoring yourself in a way that younger versions of you never knew how, and that is strength. It is courage. It is survival. Imagine for a moment that your energy is a candle. When you were young, you had boxes of candles ready to be lit at any moment. You could burn one out and another was waiting, but now the box is nearly empty. The flame you carry today matters more. You do not light it carelessly. You protect it from the wind. You shield it from the rain. You let it glow only where it will bring warmth and light. That is what it means to be 70. That is what it means to grow older with grace, and not to stop shining, but to shine more wisely. And that is why energy is the first reason people pull back, because now you know what costs to move on. You have earned the right to say no without guilt. Let me give you an image that might stay with you. Think about an old oak tree when it was young. Its branches reached wildly in every direction. It grew fast, it grew big, it reached for every patch of sky it could find. But as it aged, the growth slowed. The branches stopped stretching quite so far, not because the tree was dying, but because it had already found its shape, because it no longer needed to prove anything. Instead, the tree deepened its roots. It steadied its trunk. It became strong, not by stretching farther, but by standing firm. That is you now. You are the oak tree, and the world may not understand why you are no longer chasing every gathering, every conversation, every outing, but you know you are rooted now. You are steady now. You do not need to scatter your energy in every direction. You just need to guard the flame that still burns inside. So the next time someone asks why you do not come around as often, or why you left earlier, why you Said not to decimal smile, because you know the truth it is not about shrinking, it is not about fading, it is about choosing carefully because your energy is not infinite, it is priceless, and you are wise enough now to spend it like gold. Here's something no one likes to admit out loud: sometimes you stop visiting. Not because you stopped loving people, but because you are waiting for someone to meet you. Where you are waiting for someone to slow down long enough to notice you, waiting for someone who cares more about your presence than your performance. And when the right people do show up, something beautiful happens. They bring the coffee to your kitchen table, they sit with you in your living room, they do not rush you, they do not cut you off, they let the silence breath, they let the quiet stretch, and they listen. When you tell the same story for the third time, and not because they have not heard it before, but because they know you needed to tell it again, and those moments feel like gold. They remind you that connection is still possible even in the smallest spaces. So here is the hook: if you have pulled back from the world, it does not mean you have given up. It does not mean you are fading. It simply means you have learned the art of honoring your limits, the art of protecting your energy, the art of valuing depth over noise, and that is a form of wisdom, not weakness. No, let us be honest, world moves fast sometimes. It moves so fast that it leaves you standing still. You look around and realize that gatherings are not the same, conversations are not the same, the faces are not the same, and you feel like a stranger in places that once felt like home. That hurts, it stings in a way no one prepares you for, and so you begin to choose peace instead of performance. Begin to say no, not because you do not want love, but because you are tired of pretending, tired of forcing yourself into a rhythm that no longer feels natural. That is not isolation, that is self-respect. No, let me give you another picture. Imagine being in a crowded room where everyone is laughing at jokes you do not understand. They are talking about celebrities you never heard of. They are showing memes you do not get, and you sit there smiling politely, but inside you feel invisible. That is what happens when you grow older. You are not just living in a different body, you are living in a different era. Your world is built from different music, different rules, different ways people spoke to each other, and when no one speaks that language anymore, you start to feel alone in a crowd. So you step back, not because you are bitter, not because you hate people, but because it takes courage to keep showing up in a world that often forgets how much you have lived. No, listen carefully, because here is the truth I want you to remember: pulling back is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of clarity. It is a sign that you know what matters most now. You do not chase shallow conversations anymore. You want depth, you want warmth, you want someone who looks you in the eye and says, tell me what you are really feeling. And if that kind of connection is not there, you are perfectly content to stay home with a warm blanket and reruns of a show that still makes you laugh. That is not loneliness, that is wisdom, because at this stage in life, you no longer settle for half-hearted attention. You are done with drama, you are done with gossip, you are done with surface-level chatter that leaves you empty. And here's the beauty: when you start saying no to all of that, the people who truly matter notice. You stop waiting for you to come to them. They come to you. They bring the cake to your table. They listen to your stories. They ask the deeper questions. They meet you in the quiet instead of running from it. And those moments feel like life itself. No, let me hook you again, because this part is important. If you are over 70 and you have pulled back from gatherings, from calls, from visits, do not feel guilty. Do not let anyone tell you that you are disappearing. You are not disappearing. You are simply becoming more selective about where you bloom. You are saving your light for the people who truly deserve to sit in its glow. And if you are someone younger listening to this, stop pushing the older people in your life to come to you. Show up for them. Show up at their front porch, up at their kitchen table. Sit beside them in the quiet. Listen to their stories, even if you have heard them before, because one day you will realize those stories are treasure. Someday you will wish you had listened closer, and one day you will understand that slowing down to meet them where they are was not an obligation, it was a gift. So let us speak to the heart of it. We do not stop visiting because we stop loving. We stop because we are waiting for someone to slow down, waiting for someone to notice, waiting for someone to care enough to meet us where we stand. And when that happens, we light up again. We bake the cake again, even if it takes all afternoon. We'll tell the story again, even if we forget half the details. We'll laugh again, even if it makes our knees itch, because love still lives here, a connection still lives here, joy still lives here, and we still have something to give. Here is your reminder: you are not less just because you are selective. You are not invisible. Just because you prefer quiet, you are not finished. Just because you move slower, you are still a library of wisdom. You are still a flame of warmth. You are still a storyteller carrying treasures no one else can carry. And as long as even one person shows up to sit with you and listen, your light still shines. So if you have been pulling back, do not let guilt steal your peace. You are not fading. You are not vanishing. You are simply learning the art of blooming in fewer places. And if you are watching this and thinking of someone in your life who is pulled back, do not push them to show up. Show up for them. That is how we keep the world close, even when we move slower, even when the gatherings feel different, even when the energy is precious. Because in the end, it is not about going out to see the world. It is about knowing the world has not forgotten to come see you. Asterisk, asterisk. So here is the truth. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not finished. You are simply choosing more carefully where you shine. And that is not weakness, that is wisdom, because every story you carry still matters. Every lesson you hold still has value, and every moment you share with someone who truly sees you is still gold. So if you are the one pulling back, give yourself grace. And if you are the one who loves someone who is pulled back, stop waiting for them to come to you. Go to them. Bring the coffee to their table. Bring the laughter to their living room. Bring the warmth to their quiet. That is how we keep love alive. That is how we keep connection strong. That is how we make sure no one feels left behind. No, I want to hear from you. Have you noticed this shift in yourself or in someone you love? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you are watching from, because every time you share, it helps us feel closer. It reminds us that this message is reaching hearts in many places. And if this spoke to you, hit that subscribe button. Join us here, because together we will keep walking through these honest moments, one story at a time. After all, the world may move fast, but we do not have to move alone.